Okay, you guys know I'm a little bit of a troll, right? I am. I really like it. It's fun. I like needling people that deserve to be needled. I like doing things just to rile people up. I like seeing the reaction. Hey man, this is part of some people are like, Carlin, you have a PhD and are a psychologist. How dare you troll people? I'm like what why do you think I did a PhD in psychology if not to understand how to needle people and get my way by riling people up? No, that's not why I did my PhD in psychology. I do actually legitimately help people when I'm being paid to and are focused in that capacity. But just like a nice little offshoot of that, of course, is that I know exactly how to troll people to break them. I know exactly what to say a lot of times, and even sometimes it goes better than I can possibly imagine. I am just fascinated by the whole thing, by the strings that you have to pull and the levers that you have to hit just to totally send mostly normal people into like a complete and total tizzy. I think it's fascinating and I love it. And I don't want to feel sorry for it. But the reason I bring that up is because, listen, when I left the Democrats and for the total month and a half that I was a Republican, I really thought that the number one thing that I could do to piss off the Democrats was to leave the party, spend 6 months of my life traveling around the country, essentially campaigning to get Trump elected, and then to join the GOP shortly afterwards to try to solidify the Big Tent movement. Now, of course, that last part didn't go so well because the GOP went crazy. But I was also wrong in my premise because I thought that the thing that would piss the Democrats off the most was me joining the Republicans, joining the GOP, or people like me doing that. I was wrong. I was epically wrong, and I can admit when I'm wrong. The thing that pisses them off the most, at least in my home state of New Hampshire, is the Free State Project. These people hate the Free State Project. They hate the Free State Project with every fiber of their being. What is the Free State Project, you asked? Free State Project is essentially the idea that a lot of libertarians are purposefully migrating to New Hampshire because if you can get a critical mass of libertarians to come and live in a single state, and especially if that state is a smaller state like New Hampshire, that means they can actually have political power. Let's take, just if you haven't ever heard of the Free State Project, let's take a little bit of a gander at their mission to bring you up to speed. These, by the way, if you guys heard me talking about PorcFest, if you've seen, any of the videos I did with Dennis Pratt talking about PorcFest, the Free State Project is the group that puts on PorcFest to try to get people to come and visit New Hampshire and see how awesome it is and maybe get them all to move here as a result. Let's take a look. The Free State Project is a mass migration of more than 20,000 people who have pledged to move to New Hampshire for liberty. By concentrating our numbers in a single state, we are maximizing our impact as activists, entrepreneurs, community builders, and thought leaders. Free Staters are neighborly, productive folk from all walks of life and of all ages, creeds, and colors who are on a mission to prove that more liberty leads to more prosperity for everyone. Those in New Hampshire are reaping the movement's benefits, both in our freedoms and in our quality of life, but our ultimate goal is to set an example for the rest of the world. And they chose New Hampshire for a bunch of different reasons. The Granite State is our chosen home for many reasons: high quality of life, a culture of individual responsibility, independence, and self-reliance. Low state and local tax burdens. We do not have state income tax in New Hampshire. We do not have state sales tax in New Hampshire. The dynamic economy with plenty of jobs and opportunities for growth, low crime levels, great opportunities for activism, political involvement, including a large citizen legislature paid $100 annually. Yeah, our state legislators don't make crap, and it is actually, I think, like the second largest legislative body in the world. Like, you can basically throw a rock and hit a state representative in the state of New Hampshire. Now, the other great things about the Free State Project is they'll help you move. There's a whole real estate company that helps people move here. They'll help you find a job, all that good stuff. I know a lot of Free Staters are all really good people. But according to the Democrats, the Free Staters are like the worst villain that has ever existed anywhere. It is glorious. I love it. Like, if only the libertarians had explained this to me sooner. Like, if I had a meeting with the libertarians, like, before I decided to join the Libertarian Party, and of course the Mises Caucus, which is the only reason to join the Libertarian Party, is to join the Mises Caucus. We'll do another video about that later. But, like, I had a whole conversation with them, like, when I was thinking about doing this. I wish they had got to me a year before that and had just said, Carlin, the very best thing you can do to piss off the Democrats is to join the Libertarians because they hate the Free Staters. And of course, like, I'm not a Free Stater. I lived here anyway. I've lived in New Hampshire for 10 years. But it is like one of the worst possible offenses that you can possibly do. And I just think it's hilarious. And the best way to illustrate this is through this letter to the editor that appeared in the Laconia Daily Sun, which is like a local newspaper, that I just want to read to you and do a good dramatic reading because it is fabulous. All right. To the Daily Sun. Over time, Free Staters have moved to New Hampshire and are carrying out their plan, hiding in plain sight. They dressed as Republicans and gained enough New Hampshire House seats to tie the hands of Governor Chris Sununu until he conceded to limit emergency powers and flip on divisive concepts. Of course, by divisive concepts, they mean the anti-CRT bill that Chris Sununu totally sabotaged and screwed up. I don't know why they think he flipped on it, because he did not. He completely sabotaged that bill from start to finish. But the larger point here is that a lot of Free Staters have actually gotten themselves elected to the New Hampshire state legislature, and they do it because they're registered as Republicans, right? They're like, they call them Liberty Republicans, but it really, really, really pisses the Democrats off when these Liberty Republicans have the gall to come in the state that they live in and get elected to the state house in the state that they live in and vote to make policies that impact their lives. Like, nothing pisses these people off more. Let's see. Sununu signed the first Freedom Caucus budget in New Hampshire history. In the shameful hours of night, with no press, Sununu got played. What they're talking about there is that the state budget, which of course, you guys know I do not approve of the critical race theory component, but I do have to admit, the state budget is the most liberty-oriented state budget probably in the state's history. And because it's so liberty-oriented, it's really pissed a lot of Democrats off. An April 8th press release titled House Freedom Caucus Celebrates Budget Victory. The New Hampshire Freedom Caucus website explains their motives. One term shouts like a warning. They don't refer to government in common Republican phrasing like limited government. They write from under the heel of government, a foreboding insight. The Freedom Caucus Free Staters are carrying out their plan, working from within government. They strive for an anarchist utopia where citizens live as they please. Oh, the horror! The horror of citizens living like they please. Working from within, their goal is to bring down central and local government control. The first ploy is inciting racial resentment in our local schools. The original divisive concept bill, HB 544, sponsored by Representative Osborne, Representative Ammon, also an admitted Free State, Keith Ammon, that admitted Free Stater, and Representative Cordelli, was intended to pit neighbor against neighbor by starting a rumor that our local schools are examples of government overreach into our lives. You hear that, guys? Anti-CRT bills are a clever ploy to pit neighbor against neighbor by starting rumors that the government is overreaching. Nationally, the U.S. Congressional Freedom Caucus endorsed extremist Marjorie Taylor Greene for Congress. The majority of New Hampshire Republican Free Staters chose New Hampshire Republicans chose Free Stater Jason Osborne as their majority leader. Yes, in the state of New Hampshire, a Free Stater is the majority leader. His extreme views are reflected in his deep involvement with the School Sucks Project, which aims to do away with all schools, public and private. He is succeeding here in New Hampshire. The GOP passed the budget, which provides more than $4,000 per child for anyone who already has or wants to pull their children from public school. Representative Osborne was a sponsor of this initiative. Doesn't this sound like the most demonic thing ever? They're like, you can take money and put your child in a different school if you want to. How dare you? The Freedom Caucus vision for an anarchist utopia took a giant step forward thanks to the GOP-dominated House and Senate and a tied-up Governor Sununu. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that Democrats are like, poor Chris Sununu, we feel so bad for Chris Sununu. Chris Sununu's just trying to do his job as governor, and these horrible libertarians are just not allowing them to do his job as governor. Isn't that funny? isn't that funny every time I call Chris Sununu a rhino and explain that he's been working with the Democrats and supports the Democrats, and still the GOP is supporting him for Senate when he is the darling of the Democrats in the state, huh? Will New Hampshire become the first Freedom Caucus anarchist utopia? Your votes will help determine the answer. Like, I mean, this is like, how dare you give people choices? How dare you give people freedom and liberty? It's just so great. I just had to share it. I laughed so hard when I saw this morning. And guys, listen, look into the Free State Project, because New Hampshire is awesome. I love living here. Yeah, it gets a little cold in the winter. Okay, it does. But to be honest, like, I lived in Vermont before I came to New Hampshire. New Hampshire does a really good job of taking care of the snow. The winter here this year was like so light. There was like only one major snowstorm this year, and it really didn't disrupt anything at all. New Hampshire does a great job of taking care of the roads. Like, it's really not that bad. We're close to Boston. You get close to the mountains. You get close to the beach. I'm an hour away from like everything, which is like, when you're driving in New Hampshire, you mark it by time, not by miles. At least I do that. So, I mean, listen, dude, look into the Free State Project if this is your thing. They really will help you move here. They'll help you get set up here. And you'll also, like, really, really, really piss off the Democrats. All right, guys, that's all I have. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll consider subscribing to this channel, turning on notifications, because I really don't think that YouTube is even, like, notifying people of my posts anymore because of all the nonsense the white identitarians did to my channel. So anyway, like, if you're subscribed, make sure you have notifications turned on. I do post content pretty much every single day. I've been a little bit lazy because I've been super busy with some stuff, but we're going to start our daily schedule, or almost daily schedule, except on the weekends again, coming up soon. So make sure you're checking back. That's all I have for right now. I'll see you soon.